Welcome to this week's admin chat, and I'm delighted to be sharing with you 8 of my favourite Outlook tips. And yeah, that's me. I am Shelley Fishel. So, who am I? If you haven't met me before, I'm the founder of Tomorrow's VA, an online training academy for all kinds of Microsoft Office courses. And it's my mission to help PAs, EAs and VAs get better at doing what they do with their everyday software. There's just so much to learn. I am a fellow of the Learning and Performance Institute, and I hold the Certificate of Online Learning Facilitator and the Certificate in Designer of Online Learning, both from the LPI. I also host the Virtually Amazing the podcast, which is a great podcast for virtual assistants. However, it will also help any assistant who listens in or watches us on YouTube, because there's tons of really useful information included there. And something I forgot to put on the slide, I've got 48 ebooks on www.bookboon all about Microsoft Office. 48 because they've been translated into various languages. So what's included in this session? We're going to start with some keyboard shortcuts for navigating Outlook. They're really going to save you time and that wrist ache that you get when you use the mouse. We're going to see how you can display not 1, not 2, but 3 time zones in Outlook. A real lifesaver if you're working across time zones. We're going to get Outlook to read email to you. So you don't want to read it with your eyes. Perhaps you have a visual impairment and you'd like to listen. Outlook can help you out. We're also going to tell Outlook what to write so we can dictate our email. We're going to have a look at search folders. These are online containers within Outlook that can bring you any email that you ask it for. You're going to see that. It's great. We're going to see how when somebody writes to you and says, can we get together next week? You can reply to that email directly with a meeting request. And when you want to send somebody your availability, we're going to see how you can send them a copy of your calendar. And we're going to end up at the end, as we end up, with the Share to Teams button, which is a fairly new addition to Outlook and a great time saver too. So let's go and get stuck in. This section is all about a little known but great time saver. Now, if you are a keyboard aficionado, you may well know this, but if not, you're in for a treat. I want to move between the different parts of Outlook. Here I am in Veronica's inbox, and I'd like to get to the calendar. Well, there's a simple way to do that. I can use the Control key plus the number 2. Control and 2 will move me to the inbox, she says. Control 2. There we go. That's now my calendar. I've got several mailboxes here, so this has gone back to my calendar, not Veronica's calendar. Now, I want to get back to the inbox, so I'll use Control and 1, and that takes me back to the inbox. What about Control and 3, I hear you ask? Control and 3 takes me to people, all the people that I have there listed in Outlook. And Control and 4 should be no surprise. That takes you to your tasks. So just again, Control and 1 is your inbox, Control and 2 is your calendar, Control and 3 is people, and Control and 4 is your tasks. So going back to my calendar or even my inbox is really simple when I use the keyboard. And if I'm in the middle of doing something, it means I don't need to take my hand off the mouse. Another thing that you can do with the keyboard is display the visual cues on the ribbon. What do I mean by that? Well, if I press the Alt key on my keyboard, you'll see that it gives me these letters and numbers. The numbers are on the quick access toolbar and the letters are on the ribbon. So if I want to go to, for example, the folder ribbon, perhaps I want to do something there, I can press the letter O. And now I've got access to all of the things on the folder ribbon, like creating a new folder or a new search folder. More on that later. So there you have it. The keyboard is a great way to save that mouse and that wrist problems. I've had to move to a vertical mouse, which I find extremely useful. I'll see if I can get it into the camera. So this is my vertical mouse. It does look very odd, and it took me a couple of days to get used to it, but I wouldn't go back to using a regular mouse now for anything. I was getting lots of wrist pain, and that vertical mouse has got rid of all of that, because the angle that you use the mouse is much more like using a pen. Your hand is in the right angle. So there we go. Back to keyboard shortcuts. The Control 1 to 4 to move between different parts of your Outlook program, and the Alt key to display the visual cues so you can learn more keyboard shortcuts. Now, if any of you follow me on social media or get my newsletter or read my blog posts, you'll know that I live in Israel. And for that reason, I need to work across time zones. Most of my clients are in the UK. Sometimes they're in the USA. I have a daughter who lives in Florida, I have a son who lives in London, and I have a son who lives here. So I am always confused about what time I need to be, where I need to be, and what's the best time for things. And I'm sure when you're working with your executives who are traveling, you also need to know what the time is in different time zones, or perhaps you need to book meetings with people all over the world. So let's have a look at how you can see more than one time zone in Outlook. Now, you may already know that you can see 2 time zones, and as you can see in my calendar here, which is this busy week that I've just had, you can see that I have 2 time zones showing there on the left. I have UK and IST for Israel time. And you can see, I can see that there's a 2-hour time difference. That one I can usually figure out. What gets me is when I need to talk to my daughter in the States, and I'd like to know what time it is where she lives. So now in Outlook, in the week view, you can display 3 time zones. To do that, we'll go to the File menu, we'll go to Options, and then to Calendar. And then it's down here in the bit further down, here we go, Time Zone section, where I've got IST as my main time zone, because that's where I live. I then got the UK as my second time zone. And I'm going to add a 3rd time zone. Also want to point out here that you can swap the time zones around, so you can change the order in which they're displayed on the left of your week to view. So I'm going to tick a 3rd time zone, and you'll see that it's picked up UK. I'm going to label this as US. And I'm going to choose the time zone. Now, she's 5 hours behind. No, she's 7 hours behind me. She was, when I was in the UK, she was 5 hours behind. So she's now 7 hours behind. So I'm going to go for, which one? I'm going to go for, let's go for Mountain Time, because I know that's 7 hours behind. And then I'm going to click OK. Now what you'll see is I now have 3 time zones showing up there on the left. I've got US, UK and Israel. So then we've got a really handy tip if you work across time zones. You can only show 3, and they are all there listed on the left hand side in the week to view on your Outlook calendar, or any Outlook calendar that you have displayed. And you can see quite well right now in Israel here it's 10:33 a.m. and if I find on the Israel list, where are we, 10 a.m., we could see that it would be 8 in the UK and it would be 1 a.m. in Florida. So I don't think I'll be ringing my daughter anytime soon, unless her kids are awake, in which case she might ring me. Anyway, that's just a bit of a fun aside. In the meantime, to display 3 time zones, it's File, Options, Calendar, and check the box to show 3 time zones. This tip is one of the accessibility features of Microsoft Outlook, and it is the ability to have Outlook read your email aloud to you. So if you are visually impaired, you can actually get Outlook to read your work to you. So here I am in an email. As you may know, when this goes out, I was supposed to be at the PA show in June, and unfortunately it's been postponed to September. So I've had an email from my contact at the show with some new social media images that I can share about my upcoming show in September, and thanking me for being understanding. Now I want to listen to this. So I've got this option to read it aloud. If I wanted to use the keyboard, I could use the Alt key and make sure that I am on the home ribbon, and then read aloud would be R1. But I am actually just going to click the button and listen to it read aloud.
Code. Below is your trackable registration link and 10% discount code.
I'm going to stop it there because I'm sure you did hear it. My cursor was not at the beginning of the email, so I'm going to try that again because I've been playing with it.
Hi Shelley. Firstly, we would like to thank you for your understanding and...
So there you can see that it's just recording all the words. Now I can go into settings and I can set the speed. I can make it go faster or slower, and I can choose the name. So if I prefer a gentleman to read to me.
Support during the last few weeks. Although the postponement of the show came as...
or I could choose between Hazel or Susan. And these are going to...
A disappointment for us. We are now determined to return stronger and better and...
So Susan and Hazel have slightly different voices. The voices and the accents that you're offered will depend on your regional settings and where you are in the world. So if you're in the USA, you'll probably get an American voice. But that's it. When I'm finished, I just close it, get your Outlook to read your emails to you so you can listen to them instead of read them. Continuing the accessibility theme, you can also dictate your email so you don't have to type it. I've found that it's best to address it first. So you'll see I've addressed this one to Virtual Veronica. She's the froggy virtual assistant that helps me out when I'm training. And I'm going to go into the subject line. Now to dictate, I can use the keyboard. It would be Alt-H-D, Alt to switch on the keyboard shortcuts, H for the home ribbon, D for dictate. But for now, I'm just going to click on the dictate button, which lives right in the middle of the home ribbon. And it says powered by Microsoft Voice, and you'll see that a little dictation area opens up at the bottom of the screen. It's now listening. So it will actually type everything I say. So I'm just going to stop it. And I'm going to get rid of that because what I really want to do is dictate the title of this email. So here we've got tap the microphone to resume, and we've got some settings. So just take a peek at the settings first. So the settings allow for automatic punctuation, a profanity filter, and which language are you speaking. And I speak English United Kingdom, so it should know the differences between English spelling and American spelling if I said United States. And there's lots of other languages here. Once I'm ready, I'm just going to click this button. Did you know you can dictate your email? Dear Veronica, this is a lovely addition to the tools of accessibility in Outlook. Paragraph. New paragraph. See you soon. New paragraph. Shelley. And I'm going to stop there. Now you'll see that it doesn't know how I type my name, so I'm just going to add my E in there. And here, instead of saying new paragraph, I said the word paragraph, which is what it typed. And so there we have it. That's dictation in Outlook. When I'm finished, I can simply close it. Also notice you've got a question mark here. When you click the question mark, it opens up a task pane on the right hand side. It's now listening and typing everything I say. And you've got some ideas of what you can do. What can I say? So it tells you what it knows for punctuation. Really handy tool, especially if you hate typing. Here I am back in Veronica's inbox, and I'd like to show you why search folders are so brilliant. So here I am in the inbox for Veronica at Tomorrow's VA, as I said, my froggy helper. And if I scroll down, you'll see that there is a category here of folders called search folders. Now, these are not real folders. They're not folders that you put things in and they stay there. Well, they are in a way. They are kind of aggregate folders. They are live searches, if you will. So for example, if I set up a folder, a search folder, to find all emails sent to somebody or received from somebody, then they will always find it no matter where it's stored. So if you're one of those eager beavers that files everything, and you may have things stored all over the show in different folders, a search folder will pull that all into one place. Easier to show you rather than blab about it. So let's get stuck in. So first of all, I'm going to be under this search folders button here, and I'm going to right click and choose new search folder. And you'll see that there are some various templates set for me. I could look for unread mail, mail that's flagged for follow-up, unread or flagged, important. So those are the things I might want to focus on. Or I could choose mail from specific people, and I could also look for things like mail with attachments, for example. Or I could create a custom search folder, and I'm going to do that afterwards. The first one I'm going to do is from and to specific people. And then it's going to ask me to choose who from. Now, this is where it will give you your address book. So you can pick from your address book here. You can go to your contacts and find the contact, or you can just type in the person you want to get it for. So I'm going to put in here administration because I've got several emails from administration at one of my clients. And I'm going to click OK. Now you'll see that it creates this container folder over here called administration, and all of these emails from administration are now showing here in this folder. But if I go back to my inbox, they're actually all in here. So there's the first one, there's the second one, there's the third one, there's the fourth one. Now if I was to put this one into bookings, and let's put the fourth one into bookings. Again, if I go back to my administration, I've still got all four, even though 2 are in the inbox and 2 are in the bookings folder. Cool, no? Now, one of the things I get asked about with Outlook is how to create an all mail view. So you know what happens. We get loads of email. Over time, we file that email into different places, whichever method of productivity you choose. And then we need to find all mail for some reason. And if you've moved from Lotus Notes to Outlook, it's something that you'll be familiar with, because Lotus Notes does have an all mail view, but Outlook doesn't. So we can create one. So we can go to a new search folder. We can say custom search, and we can choose to look in our Veronica's box. So we're going to call this all mail, and mail from these folders will be included. So everything. I'm not going to say just this folder and this folder. When I click OK, it wants criteria, but that's okay. Now it's going to go and find me all mail because I didn't set a criteria of only this or only that. And you can build on that quite nicely when you're creating your search folders. So let me know, drop me an email, let me know how search folders is going to revolutionize your life. Let me set the scene for this tip. You receive a request much like the one I have on screen right here. Hi Veronica, we need to have a chat about some training. Are you free on Monday afternoon? And you go off and you decide and what have you, and you say yes. So what you do is you reply to Shelley in this case and you say, yeah, I'm free. And then Shelley sends you a meeting request. Well, let's shortcut the process. Shelley has asked Veronica if she's free on Monday afternoon. Now Veronica can reply with a meeting request. It's a tiny little button up here. It's very small. Used to be a lot bigger in previous versions, but it's up here. We're going to click meeting and you'll see that it sets up a meeting request. It popped up on my other monitor. So it says from Veronica, can we meet is the title, because that's what I'm replying to. It's going to Shelley Fishel, who is required at the meeting. I could add more people in if I wanted to. And here we can say Monday is the 5th of July, and I can even set the time. She said afternoon, so let's make it 2 o'clock. I'm using my Israel time zone because that makes sense to me. And I can say, hi Shelley, how about this? Just accept the meeting. And then we don't have to do all that backwards and forwards that we were doing or might have done before. So I can send that off. I don't need a location. I'm going to send that and off we go. Now the other thing I could have done was I could have added a Teams link or a Zoom link to it. So if I just go to Teams, the meeting here, by clicking the Teams button, it becomes a Teams meeting, which actually is the most sensible for us because we use Teams to communicate with each other. So in this instance, because it's a virtual meeting, it would have made sense for me to click that button. And I only thought about it as soon as I pressed send. See, we all make mistakes. So here I am back in Veronica's inbox. Because Veronica is a delegate for Shelley, it gets a bit confusing. So we can see that there's the Can We Meet invitation. So if I go into Shelley's inbox, here is that invite from Veronica in reply with the reply, and then Shelley can simply send that response now. And if I come back to Veronica's inbox, we'll see it will pop up. If I go to the calendar and I've displayed Veronica's calendar here, you can see there's that meeting that Veronica just created. And if I display my own calendar and go to Monday, you'll see there is that meeting that I just created. There we go, Can We Meet from Veronica. And I can open that up, I can accept it, I can just make sure that it's completely fully in my calendar. So that is how you can reply with a meeting when somebody emails you a meeting request. Let me set the scene. A client or somebody else is on the phone. So this is a phone call, or it could have come by email. But they ask you, when are you free next week? So I've received a request. I've been on the phone with maybe Veronica or Joe or somebody else, and they've said, we need to have a meeting next week. When are you free? Now I look at my calendar while I'm on the phone and I say, well, it looks like I can do on Tuesday kind of in the afternoon, on Wednesday late afternoon, Thursday I've got a little bit of free time midday, and Friday I'm not working. So the person on the other end of the phone says, hey, can you put that in an email to me? So I say, yeah, sure. And then what do? I get my trusty Post-it notes and my pen. I look at the calendar. I make a note of all the dates and times that I'm free, that I want to give to the person on the other end of the phone. And then I set up a new email and send them that by typing it all in. Well, that's quite a time-consuming project, and I want to show you how we can shortcut that project nicely. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the email, or we could go to new items here and choose new email message, so we don't even need to switch to email. I'm going to pick Veronica here, because if I do send it, it won't matter. I'm not going to bother anybody that's outside of Tomorrow's VA. And I'm going to title it Availability. And then I'm going to say, hi Veronica, this is my free time. And the next thing I'm going to do is send Veronica a copy of my calendar. And for that, I'll go to the insert ribbon and choose calendar. Now this is great. What it does is it says, which calendar do you want to send? So I'm going to send my own calendar, but I could choose from any of these others. I'm going to choose the date range of the next 7 days. Today is Sunday, and I want this to look at the following week from Monday onwards. And I'm only going to show availability. I could choose to give limited details, or if it's somebody I work closely with, I might want them to know exactly what I'm doing, in which case I'd send them full details. But I'm going to leave it as availability. You can also show time only within your working hours, assuming you've set them. If you haven't, you can check here. And you can decide how you want it to look. I'm leaving it as a daily schedule, and I'll click OK. Now you'll see it has attached a calendar, an ICS calendar attachment, which I'll show you in a second. And down here we have a snapshot of my calendar for the next 7 days, day by day. So it's showing when I'm free and when I'm busy, because I said free or busy time. So if I want to get together, I'm out of the office all day on Monday. It's my grandson's birthday. We're going to visit him, and I'm going to bake a cake this afternoon. And then the next day, I've got some free time between 8 and 11. Now, where it says here before 8, I didn't check the box to say show only working hours because it might be somebody that I'm happy to meet with outside of working hours. So that's your choice. And you can see that Shelley, or Veronica in this case, can choose when to meet with me based on this. And then if they know how to do it, they can just reply to me with a meeting request for the date and time that is specified. So I might say in my email, just reply with a meeting request for the right time and date. This doesn't allow the recipient to actually book into your calendar, which is a shame, but I think that's just a step too far at the moment. If I open the calendar attachment to show you, you'll see that it opens up. This is Shelley's calendar that's attached, and all it's showing is free and busy times. If I check it back to a week, and I go to the following week, which is what we're looking at, I no longer know what I'm doing on those days. I just know that I'm free at certain times. So I hope that's been useful to you. Let me know. Get in touch. Tell me. I love to know how my tips help my listeners, watchers, readers, etc. A new thing that showed up in Microsoft Outlook not that long ago, time blurs when you're having fun. Anyway, it's the Share to Teams button. So I might have an email that I think I've received and would be useful for the rest of my team to know about. And I can decide which channel it goes in. So on the home ribbon, you'll see I have this lovely button here called Share to Teams. And I've got an email here from Veronica. So I'll click Share to Teams and it loads the email and it says type the name of the person or group where you want to send it. So I can choose to send it to my social media channel with my assistant, but I'm going to type in here training and hopefully it's now going to find my training team. So I've got a general folder. I know this is training because that's the icon for it. It's going to go into the training team general folder and the message is FYI July focus is Excel, and I can then share it. If there were any attachments I could include them. So I'll click share and it's on its way and it says go to Teams. So here we are. I've gone to Teams. Not only have I gone to Teams, it's opened up in the right place. Here I am in the general channel of my training team. Let me just open that so you can see that there. And here is that post and it shows up just as a post here right there in the general channel. And you can choose whichever team or channel you want your email to go to. So this is really handy when maybe a stakeholder sends you an email, but you know that the rest of the team need to know about it. Instead of forwarding it to everybody or emailing everybody about it, you can pop it into the team and collaborate going forward. So that's it for this tip. Share to Teams, a great new addition to Outlook. So I hope you have found this short session useful. It's just a taster of my style of training. So what can you do next? Well, you could get any of my online courses at thecourse-directory.tomorrowsva.com. You can work with me one-to-one, or you can book me for training in your organisation. And this is where you can find me. I am on Twitter, greedy, got two there, at tomorrowsva and at Shelley Fishel. You can find my website, www.tomorrowsva.com. My courses are at course-directory.tomorrowsva.com. I am Shelley at tomorrowsva.com on email, and you can find me on LinkedIn as Shelley Fishel. And I would love to connect with you and share my tips. I share a lot of information. I have a very active how-to blog on a Tuesday and a more informational blog on a Thursday. So I am prolific about content. And I hope you've enjoyed the session once again, and I'll see you sometime, somewhere online.